Well, it's good afternoon from Taylor's Field. This is the first of the profile interviews being conducted for the Taylor's Field private flying venue, namely talking to the Hardy Boys. And today I have with me Gordon White. He's one of the founding member of Taylor's Field. And what I'd like you to do, Gordon, is just tell me a bit about how you developed your interest in flying, and how it all came about that you're up there now at Taylor's Field flying your aeroplanes.
Yes, good afternoon. Very nice to see you. Yes, well, I hope you don't mind if I occasionally refer to... excuse me, I'm going to have to take these off. Can't see a thing, you know. Is that what you look like? Okay, well, I hope you don't mind if I occasionally refer to my new book. It's entitled I Used to Work on Aircraft, Don't You Know? All the family now have copies, and it makes great Christmas presents. So where were we? Actually, I better lift these up. Can't hear a thing without me old flaps down. Yes. And
Gordon, I wonder if you just give me some idea about really your interest in flying and how it all came about and how it's developed over the years.
Yes, well, actually, I used to work on aircraft. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. It all began. When did it all begin? Well, it began in my childhood. That's my first childhood, 1949. My parents bought me a Frog. That's a Frog 150R. It's a little diesel engine, not the croaking kind. And I built several control line models. Needless to say, a few of them lasted more than the day. And then I bought a McCoy 19, known as the Red Top. And nice little powerful motor that was, meaty engine. And now the control line models seem to try and pull my arm off. It was great fun being out there with my pals. There were highs and lows of flying control line models in those days. The highs were the ether mainly and the fuel, and the lows were when we ran out of fuel. But we did have such great fun, the heady days of the 60s.
Yes, well, it's very interesting, but yeah, if you don't mind, I haven't quite finished yet. Anyway, I gave it all up and I joined BEA. That's the British European Airways, not the British Epileptic Association as it is now. And as an apprentice engineer, and I was working on real aeroplanes. And in the mid-70s I took up control line flying again, and that really did impress my wife-to-be, Susan. And then I had a bash at radio control flying, using a Fleet 27 MHz radio, Camco Cadet, heavily modified, as a trainer, and a big 40 glow motor, which incidentally my friend Dave Reed now has. Now he's my Scottish friend, who a few of you could actually understand. Probably the accent, his, not mine. Anyway, he's moved north now, you know, and still flying. Talk to him quite often. Anyway, interesting chap. And he used to work on aircraft as well, don't you know? If I could just... excuse me, I still haven't finished. Just show a bit of respect to your elders, please. Now, where was I? When I left BA, that's British Airways, by the way, did I tell you I used to work on their aircraft? Yes, you did, but for goodness sakes, just stop interrupting me, would you? Anyway, when I retired, Dave Reed, that's my Scottish friend, got me interested in radio control flying again, and we joined CADMAC, that's the Crawley and District Model Aircraft Club. And we had Robin as our instructor, brilliant chap. He also worked in aviation, you know, and so I began my model flying career again, and with some success, I might add, although others might question. Okay, Gordon, would you just tell me about Taylor's Field and how it all came about?
Taylor's Field. Long story, really. Again, I'll refer to my book. So it's really down to appalling safety standards set by a young chap called Matthew Herb. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yes, I think it's the only way you could pronounce Matthew, actually. Anyway, he has lots of potential, but to be quite honest, he's terribly dangerous. Only last week he was landing quadcopters on my head. Now, I may have a large head, size 8 actually, but I can tell you it's not suitable for use as a heliport. Anyway, all sorts of issues followed, and at the end of the day, he would have ruined it for all of us if it had not been for the generosity of my great pal Ralph Taylor, who was truly a remarkable chap. Having said that, I did have some early reservations about him. As I've written in my book here, he was always asking us to go up there to see what he had. To tell you the truth, I was a bit nervous. And I thought I kept hearing banjos in the background when we drove up there, but that could have just been my vivid imagination, you know. But anyway, it all turned out brilliantly up there, and I suppose it's the ultimate in the new in vogue men's sheds. Have you known Ralph very long? Known Ralph for long? Well, I guess it's probably coming up for about 18 years. I met him through his carpet business. I was in a pickle, not Eric, no, I was in a bit of a jam, and by chance I called Ralph, and remarkable chap, never let me down, and I really wouldn't ever consider anybody else for any jobs like that, and I'd highly recommend it. In fact, can I give you his card? Well, continuing our discussion really about Ralph and Taylor's Field, tell me, what's the best thing that you find about Taylor's Field? What is your number one thing? The best thing about Taylor's Field? The eggs. The eggs? Well, you do surprise me. Just kidding. The facilities are second to none. Ralph is tireless in his efforts. And his ideas. It's quite dangerous actually. If you mention anything, blink of an eye, it's all done. Although I do have, well, all of us actually have quite a serious worry about him. It's his latest exploit of cider making. And I've got to say, when it comes on stream, things could get a bit outrageous up there. Apparently though, we're not allowed to wear our wellies when we're crushing the apples, so that should add some flavour to it. And there's also one rule about there's no peeing in the mash. Some folks just don't know how to have a fun day out, do they? Fly field is brilliant. The grass in the summer is akin to a bowling green. Not so at the moment. It's a bit like a rice paddy, but normally like a bowling green. Absolutely wonderful. And Barry, that's Barry Bartlett, and I are the nominated groundsman. Bit of a drawback with that. Barry does tend to hog the mower. It's a ride-on mower, but I think he's actually trying to get some practice in for his mobility scooter, which is actually on order from Crescent, I believe they're called, in Crawley. So I think he's getting a red one like the tractor actually. Anyway, but camaraderie is a key part of the group. We have AGMs 3 times a year. Okay, well anyway, we have 3 AGMs a year, and they unfortunately do decay into a bit of a drinking session, and in the end nobody can remember what was agreed, so we have to have another AGM 4 months later. So all quite a lot of fun really. We have one primary annual competition, and that's based about who has the most crashes. And that poor sod not only has to replace his models, but he has to buy a round in drinks in the pub. Needless to say, that was me in 2013. And I don't often win things, but I must say I was almost moved to tears when I was awarded that prize, and I actually was moved to tears when I had to pay for the drinks. Do the others at Taylor's Field, amongst the Hardy boys, share your sense of camaraderie? share my sense of camaraderie. Yeah, I think they do. They certainly cheer up when I crash, and they laugh and call out. And Martin seems to think I'm a banker. I can't think why, but my hearing is failing after all these years of working on aircraft. But I think I told you that, didn't I? And they do talk to me sometimes, and that's more than I can say for most of my friends. And how do you view your role at Taylor's Field? Yeah, actually, they call me General Dog's Body. So clearly they see me as quite a sort of an authoritative and commanding figure, I guess. Interesting. General Dog's Body. Was he a renowned military man? Yes, I thought so, but I can't find him mentioned in Wikipedia. But anyway, moving on, I did tell you about my time working on aircraft, didn't I? There are examples behind me of some of the ones I actually worked on. Yes, you did tell me several times that you worked on aircraft, but please explain the F word. I understand that it's banned within your circle of friends, or certainly banned for you to use it within your circle of friends. Ah, the F word. Okay, well, I didn't know you knew about that. I think that wasn't public knowledge. But anyway, many of my friends tell me not to mention the F word. Now, I'm sure I don't use naughty or rude words, but now it seems it now turns out, after a bit of investigation, that the F word is referring to aircraft. And I am disappointed in them because when I told them there was no effing aircraft, they just laughed and said, "We told you so." I'm rather confused by it all, really. Okay, well, is that all? Does this conclude the interview? I have a garage full of Ralph Taylor's broken planes to repair, and time is short. I am 64 years old. Would you like, I can make a little bit of time, would you like to hear about my time working on aircraft? Where are you going? There's plenty of time. You can come back. Oh, it appears to have gone. So I guess that that concludes my profile of Gordon White at Taylor's Field. And so all that's left for me to do now is wish you a happy and safe flying in 2014 from Gordon White, soon to be an inmate in the local psychiatric hospital. So, goodbye.